This episode is brought to you by Glorify, the #1 Christian daily devotional app. Everything around us changes. God doesn't. That's why I love Glorify's 21-day challenge. It helps me build a simple habit of meeting with God every day. No pressure, just consistency. With Glorify, you can start your morning by reading the Bible passage of the day, diving into Glorify's daily devotional, and wrapping up with an immersive experience called Daily Walk with God. And if you need to take a few minutes to yourself in the middle of a busy day, try one of Glorify's guided meditations, or listen to their curated worship playlists for some quiet reflection. To end the day, enjoy Glorify's sleep meditations to help you wind down and put your mind and heart at ease. Whether you're a committed Christian or simply curious about faith, Glorify has something for you. Join over 20 million people who have downloaded the Glorify app and deepened their relationship with God. Listeners to the show can get full access to Glorify for just $29.99 for the entire year. That's Glorify's lowest price ever when you download the Glorify app now at glorify-app.com/redcircle. Feel closer to God this year with Glorify. Get full access all year for just $29.99 at glorify-app.com/redcircle. That's glorify-app.com/redcircle.
This was the biggest revelation to me of all. You see, when God establishes the temple, He allows certain people access to certain places, but not all people all access. And it's not because this group of people was more valuable than this group of people. It's that the more access you had, the more responsibility you were required to demonstrate. So the more access, the more responsibility, and the greater the consequence, all the way to where the high priest had the greatest access. The high priest once a year could go into the Holy of Holies to make atonement for the people. But in order to do that, in order to have that kind of access, he had to demonstrate the absolute highest responsibility. He had to be perfectly cleansed. He had to put on special garments. And if he did not, then he would step into the Holy of Holies and he would drop dead. Greatest access, greatest responsibility required. Those two words became really important to me as I started trying to understand the difference between healthy and unhealthy boundaries, helpful and utterly unhelpful boundaries, access and responsibility. And here's what occurred to me. We all have limited capacity in our life. Like, we have limited financial capacity in our bank account. We have limited time capacity. We have limited energy capacity. And some people have a lot more energy capacity, and some people are a lot lower capacity. Some people have a lot more financial capacity, and others have lower capacity. But regardless, in all these areas of capacity, we're limited. Not because we're selfish necessarily, but because we're human. Now, if we get selfish with our capacity, then God can certainly check our hearts on this. But what I'm seeing more often in my life is that I start to have this notion that I'm unlimited in some areas of my capacity where I'm very limited. And then it causes me, when I hyperextend or bankrupt my area of capacity because I'm saying yes to too much and I'm not properly managing my own areas of capacity, then what happens to me is I start acting like I think I'm God. Because God is, He is unlimited. God has all the capacity. And so when we start to act like we are unlimited in our capacity, then we start acting like God. We are limited, not because we're selfish necessarily, but because we are very, very human. So, back to that word access. If I am giving level 10 access to someone who is not demonstrating level 10 responsibility, maybe they're only demonstrating level 3 responsibility, right? The distance between the access that I'm granting them and the responsibility that they are demonstrating, that distance right there, that is where dysfunction grows. That is where there's chaos, right? And that's where a boundary is needed. Now, here's the mistake I used to make. I would go, okay, I'm giving level 10 access. This person is only demonstrating level 3 responsibility. So I know what I have to do. I have to put a boundary on them to force them using external pressure to increase their responsibility up to the level of access that I've granted them. So,
this episode is brought to you by Glorify, the #1 Christian daily devotional app. Everything around us changes. God doesn't. That's why I love Glorify's 21-day challenge. It helps me build a simple habit of meeting with God every day. No pressure, just consistency. With Glorify, you can start your morning by reading the Bible passage of the day, diving into Glorify's daily devotional, and wrapping up with an immersive experience called Daily Walk with God. And if you need to take a few minutes to yourself in the middle of a busy day, try one of Glorify's guided meditations, or listen to their curated worship playlists for some quiet reflection. To end the day, enjoy Glorify's sleep meditations to help you wind down and put your mind and heart at ease. Whether you're a committed Christian or simply curious about faith, Glorify has something for you. Join over 20 million people who have downloaded the Glorify app and deepened their relationship with God. Listeners to the show can get full access to Glorify for just $29.99 for the entire year. That's Glorify's lowest price ever when you download the Glorify app now at glorify-app.com/redcircle. Feel closer to God this year with Glorify. Get full access all year for just $29.99 at glorify-app.com/redcircle. That's glorify-app.com/redcircle.
we can have a conversation with someone and request that they be more responsible, but if they are unwilling or incapable of anything more than level 3 responsibility, us putting a boundary on them is only going to cause more frustration. You see, we cannot possibly permanently change another person by using external pressure. Now, think about today, if someone had a cardiac event. Obviously, those of us who know how to do CPR, we would rush to that person's aid. And using external pressure, we would apply that pressure to make their heart beat and to create a change in their situation. But at some point, if their heart does not start to quicken and beat on its own, you cannot permanently sustain that change using external pressure, right? Never have you seen two friends walking around a mall, one doing chest compressions on the other, and think, wow, that's a sustainable, healthy relationship, right? No, but I know the desperation. I know the desperate feeling of something's got to change. And you know that it's the responsibility this person is not bringing. That's what's got to change. And so most of us just stay stuck in this frustrating place. We know that changes needed to be made. We make the changes that we can make. But in a relationship, if the other person is unwilling or incapable, then that's where that weird dysfunction starts to happen. So if it's utterly unhelpful to put a boundary on this other person, trying to force them to change, what do? We put a boundary on ourselves. We put a boundary on ourselves. And if I am giving level 10 access to areas of my capacity to someone who's only bringing level 3 responsibility, I cannot control another person, but God does say evidence of his fruit inside of me. One of those fruits is self-control. And so I must reduce the access I grant to that person down to their demonstrated level of responsibility, right? So that equilibrium can occur in this relationship. Now, here's the really great news. You guys are already doing this really, really well in some areas of your life. Here's how I'm going to prove this to you. Okay, raise your hand if you have a bank account. Just raise your hand. I'm not coming after your bank account today. I just want you to know. Okay, perfect. How many of you have a password or a security code protecting your bank account? Raise your hand. Is it because you're selfish, unchristian, unkind, not willing to give to others? No. That's not it at all. You have a passcode. And I didn't say you could remember your passcode. I'm just saying you have a passcode, right? But you have a passcode. Why? Because you have limited resources in your bank account. And if you gave everyone in here access to your bank account, then there may be some people in here who would be irresponsible. And they would take so much of the money that you have in your bank account that you would become bankrupt. Therefore, you put a security passcode there, not because you're selfish, but because you are wise and because you want to be a good steward of the resources that you have. We know this with our financial capacity, but we forget it in so many other areas of our life. Okay, so how does this really work? How does it really work if you know that you have limited capacity and you're reducing the access to some area of your capacity down to their demonstrated level of responsibility? How in the world do you even communicate that? Well, in a very simple sense, let's say that you have a child in 3rd grade. Last year, that child was in 2nd grade. And the 2nd grade teacher emails you and said, you know, last year you did the end of the year party for the 2nd grade and you did such an amazing job. We were just wondering, I know you don't have any children in 2nd grade this year, but we're just wondering, can you come back and can you arrange the end of the year party for the 2nd grade? Now, here's the crisis that would happen in my heart. First of all, I would say, oh, they loved the way I did the end of the year party. I mean, this is such an honor. Wow, right? But then I would start to get this pit in my stomach because my gut would say, no, absolutely not. You do not have the time to do this. But then why in the world does my mouth say yes? And it just does, because I kind of think their request suddenly has become my responsibility. And here's the thing that really would wig me out. I was so afraid that if I said no, that they would be so disappointed in me. And so I would rather carry the burden of saying yes rather than the burden of saying no. So I'm going to give you a simple little script. This is about to change your life. With apologies to the 2nd grade teacher out there who's wanting a 3rd grade parent to do their end of the year party. Here we go. Here's a simple way that you can reduce the access and communicate a really healthy boundary and still reflect the beauty of your own heart. You can simply reply back, thank you so much. It's such an honor that you requested this of me. While my heart says yes, 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 the reality of my time makes this a no. Thank you, and sign your name. You don't need to explain it. My counselor, I mean, I think we can all do this, right? Now, my counselor has really worked with me on this, and it was really important that I learned this. You see, I used to think I had to over-explain. I still struggle with over-explaining. Do we have any over-explainers in the room? Okay, remember, do not poke your neighbor. Let them just say that they are an over-explainer, okay? So here's what I would do. I would say, my heart says yes, yes, yes. The reality of my time makes this a no. And then I would start to explain all the reasons why. And my counselor said this to me, and it absolutely radically changed my thought process. He said, Lisa, adults inform, children explain. Good, right?